Now, Pope Francis, the visit for the meeting of the families in August of this year, well, it's taken on a more real feeling for a lot of people because there has been an announcement of his exact itinerary for the 2 days he's coming. A full schedule for the visit of Pope Francis to Ireland this summer has been confirmed. The leader of the Catholic Church will spend 2 full days in the country on the 25th and 26th of August. The main events of the visit were already known, including the Pope's speech at the World Meeting of Families in Dublin's Croke Park on Saturday, 25th of August, and his Mass the following day at the Phoenix Park. The full details of his planned visit to Knock in Mayo on Sunday and the Capuchin Daycare Centre for Homeless Families Saturday evening were also announced in the last 24 hours. He'll arrive in Dublin Airport at 10:30 in the morning on Saturday, 25th of August. He spends the day going to Áras and Uachtaráin, visits with the President. He goes to Dublin Castle to meet with civil society, authority and diplomatic corps. He will arrive at St Mary's Pro Cathedral at 3:30. He'll be transferred to the day centre of the Capuchin Fathers for a private visit at 4:15. He arrives to Croke Park at 7:30. He gives a speech at the Feast of the Families in Croke Park at 7:45. On Sunday, he departs by plane for Knock. He goes to Knock Shrine, Angelus's Square in front of Knock Shrine at 9:45 a.m. He departs from Knock by plane at 11:15, gets to Dublin Airport. He goes to the Phoenix Park at 2:30 for Mass at 3 o'clock in the Phoenix Park. A homily by Pope Francis part of that Mass. And later, he'll be meeting with the bishops at the Convent of the Dominican Sisters, where there'll be another speech by Pope Francis at 6:30 p.m. There will be a farewell ceremony at Dublin Airport on Sunday, August 26th. Now, there's information on how to get tickets for the main public events is available at the new government website, www.gov.ie/Pope in Ireland. 500,000 tickets will be made available for the Phoenix Park Mass, while 45,000 is the site capacity for Knock. So that's what's at stake here. With us on the line and with us in the studio here to talk about the Pope's visit, now that we know the full nuts and bolts of what he'll be doing, is Martin Mahon. He's from Tralee. He's 24 years of age. He will be going to see him. We've Margaret Wren from Castlemaine. She saw Pope John Paul in 1979, and Keith Phelan, who lives near Phoenix. He was 2 years of age in 79 and was brought to see the Pope in Limerick. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jerry.
Margaret, I'll start with you. Tell me about 1979.
Jerry, good morning to you. Yes, was there in 1979. It was like a pilgrimage at the time. Remember getting up in the middle of the night and travelling to Limerick, parking way out and having to walk a few miles to see him. And it was a wonderful experience. I guess at that time, the Pope, he was a lovely Pope. He was really the Pope of the people, I guess. And I think at that year as well, he drew about 2.5 million people. Not too sure whether Pope Francis will have the same amount of people going to visit him.
Will you be going?
No. And for lots of reasons. I think, I suppose with all that has happened and the scandals with the Catholic Church, it's not that I've lost my faith, I still have my faith, but I'm not as enthusiastic about going to see him this time. Now, it's great that he is coming to Ireland, and it's a great showcase for Ireland that he will be coming here. And I believe he's going to meet some of the groups, that have been affected by abuse by the Catholic Church. But when you look at the cost of it, the 20 million that it is costing, I wonder, could that have been put to better use? To be honest with you, Jerry, I think there's more excitement about Prince Charles and Camilla coming to Killarney. Now, having said all that, I would love to have an opportunity to meet him on a one-to-one basis. I would love to be able to sit down and chat to him about the role of women in the church. What does he see as their role? And I would like to ask him how are they going to address, the young people that have lost their faith, and how will they get the young people back?
How are they going to tackle that issue?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Martin, you're 24 years of age. You're going to see him.
I am. I'm going to see him, and I'm
Why?
going to see him for many reasons. Because firstly, I think he's a revolutionary Pope, taking on everything that you said there. But he's the first Jesuit Pope. He's the first Pope since 741 to not be a European. He's also opened the doors to many things which people have stigma to the Catholic Church, like gay people and gay marriage and abortion. He welcomed all of that in. He welcomed all of those people who had that stigma to it. He welcomed them into the church. And also he has impact on social media because he grew and he adapted to the times and he adapted to society. As time went on, he got with the age and he got with the times. And he's also very against what you stated about the sexual abuse scandal in the church. He's very against that. He's actually excommunicated many bishops and priests who come forward and admitted their shame. So he's very much against that. And I think he even stated that he will do a public apology to the Irish people for what they had to go through all those years ago.
So do you think he's worth going from that point of view? You see him as a reforming pope?
I see him as a revolutionary pope, as someone who is with the times in the 2018 world, understanding how the church works, how society works now, how it's very different to the way it was back then, back around 79 when John Paul II came. But I think he's a revolutionary pope. He has method ideas, he has 21st century ideas with a 21st century brain and an outlook. And back to what you said, I would not let a couple of actions of a certain few people condemn your whole idea of your faith. I mean, I think those few people that you spoke about shouldn't represent the 2 billion followers that we have in the name and the respect and the authority that the church has built all over the world and all over throughout history.
What do you think the interest is going to be, Martin? What do you think the numbers are? And maybe there's a little bit of a fixation among the media about numbers and how many people will go and X, Y, and Z. But what do you think the enthusiasm is going to be like amongst Irish Catholics for the visit?
I think the enthusiasm is very strong. They want to see what he will bring to the table. As I said, he's a very revolutionary pope, so they want to see what he can say in person. And of course, a visit from the pontiff is a huge celebration in any way, no matter, regardless if he comes this year, if he came last year. The Pope coming to Ireland, to a Catholic country, is a phenomenal achievement for us to hold this year.
Okay, all right. Keith Phelan, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Jerry.
You saw the Pope in 1979. In spirit, at least, you were a baby.
Yeah, I don't think I saw him. I was just talking to Trass earlier that it was one of my first memories that I can identify a time due to it being such a big event. But all I remember from that day is going through fields, through a stone wall, and having some I think they were Weetabix out of a Tupperware dish. So it was a very eventful day for me. But I would have been about 2 at the time, so. At least my memory is working somehow anyway. Yeah,
it started off your memories in life, so it was the seminal moment, Keith. You won't be going to see him this time around.
Well, it was, again, Trass was the first person to ask me that question, but I hadn't planned to. I suppose I don't really have any specific reasons that I wouldn't go. I suppose in general, I think Ireland has changed an awful lot. Even leaving aside, say, things like the scandals, which are a huge thing. But even if I imagine back in 1979 that there wouldn't have been, as a mass event, that probably would have been the highlight of people's summer in terms of going to something like that. Whereas now we have a lot more going on. So
there's a lot more festivals and events and holidays. People travel abroad now much more regularly. It's a different Ireland.
Different Ireland, but I would agree with what Martin said in terms of Francis being a progressive pope. He has been in a number of different ways, and maybe a couple that Martin didn't mention in terms of his highlighting of things like climate change and calls for kind of reform of how we live our lives, and especially how things like, say, cities and towns operate. That he's been very vocal on those points of view. He has in his encyclicals. He has called for, kind of a move from, how we live in cities, especially with transport, how we can make more livable cities with a move to things like walking and bicycle and public transport. Not that they're just environmentally, but also that they're inanely social, and that they offer greater social equality in our communities. He's been very he's been calling out. He called out priests and nuns in terms of. He said it pains him every time he sees a nun or a priest driving an expensive car, and said that that we have to encourage them to extol the values. That the humble, being humble, and the non-materialistic ideas of the church. So I suppose having somebody like that as the head of the church, you would hope that things like that would filter down, and then we wouldn't get to a situation that a lot of the the issues with the church where it got to do with that power and
that way of looking at it, a very different tone to his predecessor, that's for sure. Margaret, can I ask you that Keith makes a good point there that he was asked by my producer are you actually going to it, and he that point about the announcement yesterday of the schedule, it kind of, everyone knew he was coming in August. Everyone had an idea, yes, the Pope will be here in August, we'll find out details later. Now we know the details. Will everyone be asking themselves this morning, well, okay, am I going to go? Do I want to go?
I think a lot of people, the fact that there probably will be so few tickets available, people maybe, get caught up in the hype of it and say, oh, maybe I should be there, maybe I'm missing out on something. I don't know. I suppose I've been speaking to a few of my own colleagues, and there's a lot of apathy around it. I don't know. I don't really know if that's going to make any difference. I think, I suppose it is great that he is coming, and yes, I have respect for him, but I just know myself, I wouldn't be interested in going to see him.
Well, I think as a young person in society, and as a young person growing up in a Catholic country, I think in moments like this, the believers really make their voices heard, and the people who believe and the disbelievers make their voices heard as well. It's moments like this and events like this that kind of bring everything into hindsight and everything into light.
Everything into the open in terms of whether you want to go or whether you don't want to go, and the reasons why you would outline to yourself.
I think moments like this bring it all together, and they kind of start the country in a kind of intelligent...
A debate, a discussion on it. Okay, that's a fair point to end on. Martin, thanks a million for talking to us in the programme. We'll be talking much more about his visit to come over the next couple of weeks. Margaret, thanks for giving us your time this morning as well, and for your views. And Keith Phelan as well on the line. Thanks for talking to us. If you have a view on what they had to say, are you making your own decision now? Are you going to go to see the Pope?